Overwatch 2 just came out and the release was an absolute catastrophe. The game's been out for about a week now and there's been severe issues with the game every single day. Whether you weren't able to log in at all, like it was for the first 3 days, or whether half of the heroes are randomly grayed out and unplayable even in ranked. This is the absolute antithesis of how you should want a launch to go. It couldn't be any worse for Blizzard. And not only is this probably like the 10th release in a row that's been a complete clown show from Blizzard, this wasn't even a real new launch. This was just a big fucking patch on an existing game, and it ruined the game for a week. So what are some of the big changes from Overwatch 2 coming from Overwatch 1? Well, it's 5v5 instead of 6v6, which is great because the way it works now is when you do roll queue, there's only one tank. So there's way less shield spam, and they buffed all the tanks, and the tanks are way more powerful than they were before. The tank was almost like a sort of second bitch role to the healer in the first Overwatch, but in this, it's incredibly powerful, and it's a domineering role that goes far beyond just standing in the front with shields. The game is way more fun. Overwatch 1 felt like you were sitting there shooting at shields about 70% of the time. And here we see I'm playing Zarya, I'm playing super aggressive, and I sort of get caught on the lip of the wall there, unable to retreat. And we see my buddy Prod here, my good friend the Gouch, who I've been playing with for years, playing one of the new heroes who basically has a railgun as her right click. We see right there, another railgun kill. So this new hero, Sojourn, has the railgun as her right click, basically the railgun from Quake. And the hero that I'm playing, Zarya, who's been out since day 1 of Overwatch 1, she basically has the lightning gun, which is my favorite gun from Quake. And a lot of what you do with Zarya is about drawing aggro, because of the way that her shield works, where whenever your opponent shoots the shield, it powers up your gun, and the more your shield gets smashed, the more powerful your gun is. If you see that little number right below my reticle, that's the amount of power that my gun has, and it also corresponds to that little orb on the upper part of the gun there by my character's bicep. And basically the more stuff you absorb, the more damage that you're going to do. So you can see here at certain points in this gameplay, I'm openly standing out in the middle, like almost standing still sometimes, wanting them to shoot me. Because what that comes down to is picking up shield charge. You always want to have at least 50% shield charge on Zarya. And really the big objective on Zarya is to consistently draw aggro and to get the shield in as much action as possible. And here I'm going to be a complete bulldog here on the point. I'm going to try to knife around to the backside and get a good ult off. Zarya's ult is really good for setting up your teammates. And here we see I trap one of the carries and the healers, but they get spam healed through it. And a lot of times you can ult a lot of people with the Zarya ult, and if you don't have coordination with your team, they can just get a shield up or spam heal through it. So it's definitely an ult that is really good at setting up other ults, like the Hanzo ult or the skill rat tire. And I've been really enjoying Zarya recently, and I think it's interesting that they changed Mei. As we see, as soon as I hear the visor, I aggressively run at their team and use my shield. And we can see I'm just constantly knifing in and attacking the healers. And they changed Mei's left click to be more like the Call of Duty World at War flamethrower, whereas obviously before it would do a freeze. So one of the main things that I'm trying to do with Zarya is I'm running out aggressively at them, and we can see here that the UI for the observing mode is absolutely terrible, and they don't even have a scoreboard. And we can see it sort of stalled out because people are picking their heroes, but I'm hitting tab right now and you can't see a scoreboard. And remember, they famously didn't have a scoreboard in the live matches because they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and thought it would quote-unquote prevent toxicity, as though not having any idea why you're losing would make you less mad and not more mad. But whenever I'm playing Zarya, I'm always trying to draw the maximum amount of aggro, and then you shield. Because you want everyone in the team to be focus firing you as you dive their healer and are a huge nuisance, and then you shield. Some people will make the mistake of like running right in and shielding off the peak, you have so much health as Zarya where you can afford to take a little bit of abuse before you shield. A lot of intelligent players will just stop shooting at you once you shield, but if you're very obnoxious and are knifing in at the healers aggressively, it's very rare that your opponents will just, oh, our healer's about to die, and then say, oh shit, well, he's shielded, let's just let him kill our healer. So here you can see I draw absolutely all the aggro and run in completely disrespectfully, balls out. I'm really trying to be as obnoxious as possible here and just throw my shield up. I want that 70% charge, and then notice whenever my shield's on cooldown, I sort of dial it back a bit. This is what you want to be doing with Zarya, where you're playing as in their face as possible unless you don't have shield. Then you want to dial it back a bit and then ramp it right back up to obnoxiousness. You also don't want to get in the habit of constantly like spam shielding your allies just when they peek. The shield is so good on you and allows you to dive healers so hard that you should only be shielding your allies whenever you know they're going to die or whenever they're casting their ult and you're setting them up for a big ult play. Because if you're constantly using your shields on your allies in spots where they're not even in trouble, it means you're not going to have the shield to put maximum amount of pressure on the tanks. We can see here this was just a total stomp game, and I'm having a lot of fun in this game when I can actually play it, but it's been an absolute disaster launch, and Blizzard will ostentatiously lie and try to say, oh, well, it's because of DDoS attacks. And here would be the part of the gameplay commentary where I hit tab and show you my score, but it's a joke client, and they don't have a scoreboard on the replay function. Wakey up, Blizzjoke!